to my channel. Welcome back to another coffee chat episode. This is episode 4, I think. Today we are going to be talking about seasonal depression, mood changes during winter, not even just for like diagnosed problems or very severe problems, but any range of issues that someone may have during like this time period. I know winter is hard for people for a number of reasons, whether it's like something traumatic or some stressors or whatever it is. It's a difficult time of year. So I just thought it'd be beneficial to kind of like open up that conversation just so that we don't feel like we're alone. I think sometimes with social media and things, we can end up feeling really alone sometimes and thinking that we're the only person that may be struggling with a certain thing, but that is not always the case. And actually this past couple months, or even this past month, I've been seeing a lot more TikToks, even on YouTube, of other people sharing their seasonal depression or their motivation struggles. And so it is nice to see that it is being more talked about now. So yeah, we're gonna go over my personal struggle, my personal insight on seasonal depression, so that way you know that everything I'm saying, there are some things that I have resources and that I read and things about, which I'll have linked down below, but this is coming from a personal place. Everyone's different, so I do hope that this benefits you in some way. And then we'll go over, some things that benefit you during this time and what we can do to be more motivated or to feel better during these winter months. So speaking personally, I noticed a change in myself with wintertime and things making me feel worse on top of regular depression, as I do struggle with. Back when I was a teenager and I didn't really understand why, and now I understand that it is because of, natural things, natural changes, such as we're not getting as much sunlight anymore, the sun is setting sooner, as well as other stressors and triggers and things that get reopened around Christmas time and around these holiday seasons. And so speaking from me, I don't think I ever really dealt with it. I attempted to use one of those sunlights, and then the last couple of years here I've been working, and so especially for people who are working, it's not really that easy to carve out that time to understand what's going on, to acknowledge what's going on, and then to put the effort into doing something about it. So for me personally, this year, my biggest thing with seasonal depression is it makes me lose motivation. I start feeling really down about myself. I just start feeling really depressed, and just this whole exhaustion and this kind of like why bother attitude is what I have been struggling with in the past and even this year. And so that's how seasonal depression and those kind of things affects me. It really attacks my motivation. It really makes me just feel like very isolated as well. And so for me this year, my goal is to try and develop a routine and to try and bring joy into my life and bring things to do that are going to stimulate my mind, make me feel better about myself. And like I said, if you are a person who's working or you're a person who's really busy and you might not have the time to sit down and think things through, that's totally fine. I think really this is about knowing your capabilities, knowing what you can do for yourself, knowing where you can give yourself that room. And, I think it's about starting small. I think it's about easing yourself into these new routines. I think it's about not trying to get from 0 to 100 and have these established routines going right off as you start trying to build them, and to embrace the slower living of this season. I think we as humans don't embrace how slow and how important it is to take the time to slow down during the winter months. And so I just think that's a big component for me, and a goal, and kind of what I'm gonna do to try to combat myself is to embrace that slower living, to embrace when I need a break, to embrace when I need to rest or when I don't want to go outside because it's cold. Like, I need to embrace those moments of my body telling me to rest or to do a certain thing. Okay, so now into the next part, which is how we are going to change and how we are going to ease this struggle. And that is going to be to implement things into your routine for number 1. Whether that is waking up earlier so you have more time at the sunlight and you have more time to feel like you're doing things. And for me, that's what I'm going to do. My plan is to wake up earlier. That way I can go on a walk in the mornings and get my day started earlier so that I feel like I have more accomplished. But this blog post I was reading was kind of almost the opposite. She needed more time in the morning to fully wake up. She needed more time to ease into the day, and so she allowed herself to do that. She stayed in bed and she read until she felt like she was ready to get up, until it was a little bit brighter out, until the world felt more awake. And so changing your routine in that way. If you're usually a person who's getting up and jump starting your day, but now in the winter time you need a little bit more time to do that, go ahead and do that. But if you're a person who, like me, I am so used to getting my day started at like 10:30, in the winter time that's not enough time for me. So I'm starting to get up earlier and implementing those sorts of. Number 2, moving your body. I know it sounds super cliche. I know that no one wants to hear that to combat these things, to combat exhaustion, you have to move. But sometimes that is the thing that helps. And it's also about knowing what your capabilities are. I need to be getting up and starting and moving my body because I get so tensed up and just so fatigued in the winter time. And so what I really think is going to benefit me is if I wake up early, I go for a walk, first thing in the morning, and I wake up my body, I get that fresh air, it's colder outside, and so I think that would benefit me. But if you're a person who you feel like that's not going to benefit you, then move your bodies in other ways. Yoga, do a sport, do anything that you think is going to help you. Because for me, I kind of have a long-term goal with the exercise during winter. I'm gonna start with what I can accomplish, which is waking up for a walk. And then I wanna ease back into doing more yoga. I did yoga earlier this year. I just use like a Fit app and I sync it to my TV. And I used to wake up in the mornings and do that, but since it's been getting colder out, that's been more of a struggle for me. And so once I accomplish, getting the hang of waking up and doing a walk for a couple days, then I'll slowly bring back in yoga. And then the biggest goal for me would be to utilize the gym more. And it wasn't even like I was going crazy, lifted a couple 5-pound weights with some squats and did like the stair climber thing, whatever. But still, that for me is more heavy duty. That for me in my body, how I get exhausted, that is a lot for me. And so I'm gonna start small and implement these things over the next few winter months and to see how I get there. And I will definitely be bringing you along for that at some point this month. That is one of the videos. It's going to be like my new winter morning routine or something like that, because mornings for me is my struggle. I also struggle to eat breakfast, and that's another part of this, is more nourishing, or to make eating and cooking dinner and things like that more of a ritual or more of a fun activity. And I know I definitely have those days where I'm like, I don't want to cook. I'm either getting something frozen from Trader Joe's or I'm stopping and getting something. The days that you do feel like you can cook, sit down at the beginning of the week, plan out those meals that you're excited for 1 or 2 times a week, and really focus in on that activity as a ritual, as something you're sharing with someone if you have a partner or roommates or whatever, or even for yourself. Put on a certain playlist. Make the joy in your life. Create those moments that give you something to focus on, that give you something to feel accomplished by. I know that when I made a potato soup a couple months ago from scratch, I felt so good afterwards, and it was so nutritious and it felt better. It was warm. Just try to focus on making those activities count and giving it more of a purpose. And that doesn't mean all the time. Again, this is about easing. This is about living slow. This is about patience. So have that with yourself. If the night you plan on cooking, you switch around for a night, you get something out, that's totally fine. We got to remember to be patient and have grace with ourselves during this time, because the end of the year and winter, it all can be so much. Speaking for me, breakfast is the hardest meal of the day for me. I wake up and my body isn't necessarily hungry or has an appetite. So for me, my goal, which you'll see and I'll take you along with, is to find breakfast meals that I'm excited about, to find breakfast foods that are not only easy for me to eat and I don't have to struggle with myself, but is nutritious and is going to fill me up and is going to bring me a small piece of joy in the morning. I am going to recommend journaling. I I know we all say journaling. I know that's something that we all hear. And for me, I haven't journaled in a while. And you know why? Because I constantly think I'm being perceived as I'm writing. I constantly think like someone is listening to me or watching me or reading along as I'm writing, being like, wow, you sound a certain way there. But I'm gonna get over that. And again, you'll see in my process, and I hope taking you guys along with my new winter routine process will give you guys some clarity and insight on how maybe you can do it in a non-perfect standing way. But yeah, journaling is something I used to be, I feel like, a little kind of consistent at, and now it's null. And I think as a person with anxiety as well as now this seasonal depression, that it's good to get these thoughts out. It's good to have it on paper. It's good to release and to also slow down and take the time to really figure out what those thoughts mean, what your body might be trying to tell you, what your mind might be trying to tell you. So I feel like some of these are kind of cliche, but I also feel like they kind of work. So something else is something that I've been saying, but it's very important, so it has its own bulletin: create joy. You need to create the joy. You need to find activities that you love and incorporate them into your everyday, or incorporate things that you used to do. Because I just feel like it's important to stimulate your mind in that way. Something for me is like crafts. I love holiday crafts. I know as a kid, like I used to love doing holiday crafts. And one of the crafts that I'm really, really excited to do is a jewelry tree. I feel like this is so vintage and so like, you don't see it as much anymore. It's like something someone's grandma would make, and it would be passed down, and it's literally a Christmas tree, like in a frame that's made out of necklaces or, you know, old brooches or whatever. And I just think that's such a darling idea. So that is one of the crafts I'm definitely going to do. Another activity that you could do is try to make some more homemade gifts or crafty gifts, or put your thoughtfulness into that if you have people that you are giving for, or even making your holiday decorations yourself. Things that work with your hands and with your mind and kind of make your body slow down and focus on something is gonna help on those nights when you're like, oh, it's 4 o'clock, but I feel like I've done nothing. Just pick up a little craft. Just maybe get a coloring book, or even collage if that's what you want to do. And if you don't know what to collage with, you can get collage kits from my art shop, and they're personalized. Just a quick little drop in there. But on a serious note, collaging really helps me, and like a lot of the Christmas gifts I'm giving have something to do with that. I'm trying not to spoil too much, but yeah, so even collaging or scrapbooking or making holiday cards can greatly benefit that mindset of feeling like you're not doing much, or whatever that is. And I have been dropping this in here this entire time, but it does also get its own bulletin. Embracing the slower part of the year means you have to have patience with yourself, changing the routine, wherever you're in self-care. All of that isn't always enough. It's not enough. There are days when it's not enough for me, where I have to lay there, or where I have to give in to not being productive. That doesn't define who you are. And if you need to have a whole day of doing nothing, have a whole day of doing nothing. If you need to have a day where you just go to your favorite coffee shop and you get a treat, go and do that. This whole thing, because we're all so different and we're all struggling on different levels or severities or degrees, is having a balance and understanding of your personal needs and what your body is telling. You know, seasonal depression, mood changes, traumas coming back up during holiday, grief, whatever it is not easy. And along with that, be open about it. This is why I want to make these videos, is because we need to have these talks. We need to make sure that people don't feel like they're alone, or that everyone else is just getting by fine, because most of the time that is not the case. And most of the time, everyone else is going through something. And I hope that anybody really struggling with these mood changes or seasonal depression or what have you this season is doing okay. I hope it gets better. You know, we're all in this together. And yeah, so thank you guys for coming along to this episode of Coffee Chat. These are really fun for me. And make sure you leave your opinions, your thoughts, your experiences, what you're going through in relation to this video down below. Let's open up that dialogue. Let's have a conversation about it and be there for each other. Thank you guys for watching my video. Thank you guys for being a part of my community, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!